Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee, I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee, I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee, I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee, I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee, I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee, I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee, I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee, I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee, I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee, I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee.
Long I've called you, my Lord, long I've called you.
Many years I have longed for your sight.
Bathe the darkness with tears of devotion.
Offered candles in prayer to your light.
How much longer, friend, must I cry your name? I am yours, ever yours. Will you come? Long I called you, my Lord, long I called you. Many years I have longed for your sight. Bathe the darkness with tears of devotion. Offered candles in prayer to your light. How much longer, friend, must I cry your name? I am yours, ever yours. Will you come? Open wide I keep for thee, door of my heart. Open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? Just for once come to me. Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? Just for once come to me. Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? Just for once come to me. Wilt thou come? Wilt thou come? Just for once come to me. Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, I look for thee night and day. Night and day, I look for thee night and day.
Well, thank you. Absolutely beautiful. I'm pausing as we're all pausing because that chant, when Swami put it together years ago in this fashion, I was absolutely astonished by it and still am. Okay, well, I, from time to time, enjoy sharing this dream. It's unique, really, as we often have these dreams that perhaps even catch us by surprise, and this is one of them. This was undoubtedly, I don't remember the time, but I'm just thinking around 1976 when Ananda burnt down. And I, in this dream, was all of a sudden aware that Swamiji was in grave danger with his fire. And you know how dreams are. He was in this very small trailer. It didn't make much sense, but I didn't really think about that. It was urgent to save him. And there was flames everywhere. And so I raced to the trailer on the far end of the property. And I don't know if I was in a panic, but fairly close. And I banged on the door, and he opened the door up. And what was my surprise when he was in his bathrobe and pajamas and slippers, and totally in a different state. Just calm and kind of wondering why I was bothering him, I would imagine. He was probably writing at the time. And so I just said, Swamiji, I mean, you've got to get out of there. It's a raging fire. It's out of control. And he said, well, then that's fine. And I was still just amazed at his reaction. And so I said, well, can I carry you? Because he had his slippers on, and I didn't want him to, be walking in the dirt. And I didn't, it didn't, how dreams are again. He's, not a small man, but it didn't seem to faze me. And so I just put out my arms, and there he was. And then I raced off at a good little clip, probably no more than 15 seconds more or so, down this, terrain. And all of a sudden, it started snowing. And the entire fire was out. That was the end of my dream. Needn't go any further. Well, I love that dream as we, again, are inspired by the many dreams that we've shared over the years at Ananda, because this is Swami. He came in, I think, there was many roles he played, but certainly also as a fireman, always putting out the fires that, of course, we generated in so many ways, individually, collectively, and so on. And always with this grace. I remember I was quite amazed by this, still am, when I heard that he would wait sometimes 20 years before pointing out to someone an area that they could, maybe change, and perhaps even glaring, because it needed to be done at the right time, in God's time, which is always the right time. And that again was Swami, his example of infinite patience with all of us, because many times I thought, wow, if he could only spend time with his peers, with, those, in Master's organization in the early years, with Master and Rajasi and Jnanamata and all these highly advanced souls. And it was just us. I thought, oh, well, he's the one that has raised his hand. As he said, the only reason he did community was no one else was doing it. And he didn't, necessarily think that he had all of the, the necessary skills and so on, but that was not the issue. And in that way, Ananda continues, which is very beautiful. It's all about people growing. I remember a time, this was with Vijay and I in Sacramento in the late 70s. We were delighted that Swamiji was going to do a 6-week class series. He was going to be commuting from the village, and quite a commitment with his busy schedule. And so we had advance notice, happily. And so we, went everywhere to find the nicest hall within our budget and all of that, more in our non-budget. And finally found what we thought would be suitable. And so he gave us first class, of course. It was very inspiring, good turnout. We were delighted. The second week he came down, and he said, that hall is a little far out. We should probably find a different venue. And I said, Swami, the class is in an hour. And we spent a lot of time finding that I was doing my best to talk him out of it. I knew I would make no headway from the very start. I didn't even take intuition, because it was just, we need a new place. And then I guess he walked off to his room to meditate. Again, is this new at Ananda? Hardly. And so I jumped into the phone book and just did everything that I could to just, again, prayer, any intuition that might be handy, everything. And so I found a place, and worked out actually quite nicely. Good price, right next to the freeway, but no freeway noise. And that was a concern of Swami's. He wanted it to be more accessible for people. And so I thought, wow, this soul, this Renaissance man, he truly loves to keep us on our toes, and to this day he does, both inwardly and outwardly. And I'd imagine, from time to time, maybe every time that he would come back from his overseas travels, and we would, of course, lovingly greet him, but also, no doubt, in the back of our mind was, uh-oh. Because now what are we going to do? You never knew. The joy tours after the fire, I think, caught numbers of us unprepared, going across the states and this motorhome and so forth. He did it once, he did it a second time. And the lives that people, the changes that people experienced with his presence. And numbers of people are here to this day from those joy tours. Swamiji, these types, these Renaissance men, and truly they deserve to be called in that way, they don't come around that often. They really are very, very rare. And so for us to be in this vibration is, again, one of those lifetimes that doesn't come around all that often. And seeing Swamiji as he progressed spiritually over the years, from the very beginning, you could see this was no ordinary soul. But still, as he continued to give everything to Divine Mother, bit by bit, the shedding process right before our eyes, and he was a private man. He didn't, care to share, what was going on spiritually. But Divine Mother fooled him because he no longer could contain that bliss and that love in the later years, especially. And I remember in the 90s, we went to celebrate Master's Mahasamadhi there in Los Angeles with Swami and a whole bunch of people. And we were there at the Biltmore, the site of Master's, Mahasamadhi, and he said something that I really wasn't prepared to hear, because he was so private, always, about his own inner life. And he said, you're very lucky to have me as a direct disciple. And I thought, absolutely, there's no question of that. But he didn't talk in that fashion. In the later years, again, because Divine Mother tricked him, then he couldn't help himself. He couldn't get through a chant. He couldn't get through a song. At one point, coming back from India, I think this was even in the 60s, he couldn't sing the Indian bhajans at that point because they were so moving that he just no doubt wanted to go back to India, and he knew that that particular chapter had concluded and it was time to, again, do his work here in the States. So, again, the challenge of being up here always is wanting to hear from all of you. And there's nothing we can do about it except that we're all getting to be more and more borderline omnipresent. And that's a big help with our growing intuition, with our feeling for ourselves as we feel for others, as we feel for ourselves, feeling for others, all of that. The growing compassion, which again is the true gift of Swami. And when I think that Master said to Swami that his last test would be his death, and Swami at different times thought he perhaps would be martyred. He was a bit outspoken from time to time, so maybe that would have happened. But it seems to me that Divine Mother, because Master left so early, as a matter of fact, it seemed like Divine Mother had to drag Master out of his body because he still had projects, and so he was, trying to bargain with her toward the last years of his life. But perhaps because he left at such an early age, at 59, then Swami was kept around in his mid-80s. And starting a major work in India at 75 years old, Raise your hands if you've heard of anyone that has started a major work at that age. You know, this is, again, as Swamiji said in Pune a couple of years before he left, I think I must be a little bit crazy because I've never worked so hard in my life. I think I'm a little bit crazy. And crazy for God, as we know. And so the privilege of being here together, spiritual family, I often think of the end of the Autobiography of a Yogi, where Master says, Lord, thou hast given this monk a large family. And look at the family that we have bursting at the seams everywhere. We find that people have read the Autobiography of a Yogi, they come to Ananda, they come to the various centers worldwide. I'll tell you, and then I'll turn it over to Roma. This was a new experience up at the meditation retreat. We had this wonderful soul, she's left now, just there for a week, from Uganda. And so people come from all over the world at the Expanding Light and Crystal Hermitage in here, and so we love that. But in a way, that's not new. They're from Mexico and New Zealand, all that stuff, and it's an absolute joy, and especially taking the time, airplane travel. Oh my God! So it seemed like a routine question. So where are you from? People come constantly from the Bay Area. I figured, San Francisco, San Leandro, Uganda. I said, you came from Uganda and you're here for a week? She said, yeah, and I'm coming back for Christmas. And I'm going to bring some friends. As a matter of fact, they're jealous right now. She has a little meditation group. And I said, they're happily jealous though, right? She said, yes, that's right. They're happily jealous. And she said, my company is going to be sending me to San Francisco in March. And I said, isn't that great? I hear again and again how corporate is always sending people all around. And it just so happens there's a center, a meditation group, or a colony nearby. Thank you. Yeah, it's much appreciated. So where are you from? Uganda. Oh my God. That's not a small trip. And again, she read the Autobiography of a Yogi, was touched to her core, and came. And so again, the roles that we are all playing, again, we all know our job description is just to get out of the way, let go, and let God. So happy Swamiji's discipleship. Thank God that Divine Mother created that miracle when he didn't want to go to the bookstore in New York. He'd already said, I'm too intellectual. He had seen the AY. He was struck by Master's photo. And his feet, all of a sudden we're propelling him there. Wow. And the miracles continue. God bless.
Well, just as Haridas said, it's such a deep blessing for us to be with all of you on this amazing day. We've been in India for so long, and we would always look wistfully at the internet while all of you would get together, and Jyotish and Devi and all the great souls, and Anta Maria, everybody, leading these wondrous events that we don't realize how powerful and how meaningful each one of you is to the people out there, the missionaries out there that have not had the blessing of being together with all of you. And it's just, when Swamiji was in India, it was a very, very, very deep blessing for all of us, of course. But he said once, I couldn't do this if the village wasn't in order. I couldn't do this if the souls in India weren't taking over. Because you had freed his mind to take up the cross, the work, whatever, and so he could just completely focus on India. And he focused on India. And I just want to talk a little bit about the love that poured from Swami in India, poured from Swami to the receptive souls of the Guru Bhai, our Guru Bhais there. it was amazing to see the crowds that would come. There would be Sunday satsangs. He would do every Sunday satsang in a basement. This is Swami started all over again with nothing in India. They didn't have anything. We had a basement, and we did the best we could with that basement. And we did our Kriyas there, and Swami did all the satsangs there. But pretty soon the magnetism of Swami's love became so great that we couldn't fit in the basement anymore. So we had to move, and then we got a bigger house, and then we got a bigger house, and the work grew, and we talked to bigger halls, and then all of us were speaking to huge amounts of people, and Swami was always, always present, 100% sharing his love. And Master's an avatar of love, and his disciple, Swamiji, is a disciple of love. And that's what the Indians felt. That's what drew them. It was the magnetism of his love. His words, yes, and all of the philosophy, but it was his love. It was astounding how much they responded to that, as each one of us have. And, when he left his body, it was a shock to India. It was to the people, to all of us, of course. And I'll just share with you how we experienced it. We were in Koramangala. He had asked us to come back, and we were running this center in Bangalore, Koramangala. And one Sunday, we were doing a satsang, and we were doing a discipleship ceremony. We were doing a level 3, and there's this little break in the discipleship ceremony. There were about a dozen people there. And you teach the class, then you take a little break, and then you come back and do the discipleship ceremony. Well, I got this intuition. It was just out of the blue. Right after the satsang, we're just going to turn into the discipleship ceremony. I got this intuition, go check your emails. Go check your emails. Now, normally I wouldn't do that. Who does that in the middle of a satsang? Go check, excuse me, I really need to go check my emails. But it was just compelling. And so I did. I went in the bedroom. These places were tiny, they were tiny houses. And I went into the bedroom and I turned on the computer, and there was an email from Lakshman, and it said, Swami passed away 5 minutes ago. It was a shock. It was overwhelming. And we had this discipleship ceremony to do, and Haridas and I quick called him into the bedroom, and I said, Swami's gone. I mean, it was a shock. It was so, for all of us, I'm sure we all experienced it in our own ways, but for us it was really, what are we going to do? And there was this grief, but we couldn't feel the grief because we had to keep on going. And so we went back in, and we did an astral ascension ceremony for Swami, just with these disciples to be were there. And it was very moving, very touching, very hard to get through, but we did an astral ascension ceremony. And then we did the discipleship ceremony. And it was one of the more beautiful experiences of my life, because we're saying the vow, and these young disciples have just experienced Swami leaving. They were grieving that they would never meet Swami in person, because there had been plans for Swami to come to Bangalore later on in the year, and we were going to get to see him together. But there came the part of the vow, the part of the vow that said, I will join my energies to those of my Guru Bhais, my spiritual family on earth. I will cooperate with them, and to the living representatives of our line of gurus. We came to that part, and all of a sudden I felt Swami. I felt Swami right there. And he had left his body, so it's very possible, because he didn't show up all the time. But I think he showed up there. I really felt his presence more strongly than even if he was in his body. And when we came to that part of the ceremony, it was so beautiful, because he was he was telling me, it was like words were in my head. I can't really explain it. He was saying, yes, this is how I want Ananda to keep going. I am not in the body, but you will have me if you cooperate, you love one another, you join your energies with your gurubhais. This is how it should be. This is how we're carrying the work forward. This is how you can honor me. It was just so beautiful. And I felt he's an incarnation of love. And so our responsibility and our mission in this world, our way that we're going to find God, is to love. This is how we're going to find God. We're going to love one another. When Christ's disciples were in the different cities after the Last Supper, they were going to these cities. He was telling them to go here and there and everywhere. And they said, well, how are we going to know when we get there who are our people, who are our disciples? And Christ said, you'll know by how they love one another. And so this is what Swamiji was telling us. We will be carrying on his legacy if we love one another in God, with Master, through Swamiji, through one another. There's so much love to give. There's so much love that is needed in this world. And Swamiji, he said, at the end of my life, I just want to be known to be a good disciple. He didn't say the best disciple, the most prolific disciple, anything. He said, I want to be a good disciple. And so that's how we can all be good disciples. That's how we can honor Swami. That's how we can honor our guru, is to really have compassion, kindness, forgiveness, understanding, love one another. Don't judge. Don't be critical. Don't get angry with one another, because there's enough of that out there. But our wonderful seva in this world is love. And so I just wanted to say, don't worry that you never saw Swami in the body. Don't worry if you were never really close to him, or you never had conversations, or he never looked at you and said, I'm so proud of you. None of that really matters. What matters is that if your heart is big enough and open enough to include all the souls that need Swami's love, Master's love, Divine Mother's love, when you open your heart and you are an instrument for that, Swami's right there, just like he was in that discipleship ceremony. I know he was there. And since then, that's how I've tried. Of course, I don't always get there. It's not really easy, because this is, a place where we learn our lessons with different people, but we have that capacity. And that's the beauty of Ananda, joining our energies, our hearts with one another, our spiritual family, our gurubhais. This is what Swami wants, and he's here. So don't worry that you never met him. And this is what I would tell the people in Bangalore and all over India. They were crushed. But one time, I'll just close with this. At the Expanding Light here, there was this little old man that came to Haridas and I, and he was lamenting his life. And he had been invited to go meet Master. He had been invited. He had an appointment to go meet Master. And on the day that he was supposed to go to meet Master, he got scared and he didn't go. He freaked. He just thought, he's too powerful. Whatever he was going through, he got insecure and he didn't go. And then Master passed away a few days later. And so he came to us, this is years after that happened, to the Expanding Light, and he said to Haridas and me, he said, every day of my life I've regretted that decision. Every single day of my life I've thought, oh my God, how could I not have gone? He had since taken Kriya, become part of the center down in LA, a contributing member. He was very connected to Master's work, very connected, devoted devotee, very sincere. And he said, it breaks my heart. I have not gone one day without thinking, why did I do that? Why didn't I go? And then Haridas just very wisely said to him, well, you've been thinking about him every day, haven't you? And Master said, if you think me near, I am near. And honestly, the man's face lit up like a light bulb. He said, it just filled with joy. He said, I never thought of that. Yes, I've been thinking about my guru every single day. And I never met him in person, but he's been with me all along. He's guided my life. I've had a beautiful life because of my guru. And it was so beautiful to see the transformation of just that little thought, just that one thought. If you think me near, I will be near. And so I just leave us all with that. Think of God, think of Master, think of Swami. Every moment, he's there, he's waiting for us just to turn our minds to the light, to the spiritual eye, and think of him. Good, bad, successful, whatever we think of ourselves. Master doesn't see us that way. He sees our souls. And he did say that our freedom is our destiny, and that he would never give up his job about us. He said he would never give up his job about us. And that goes for all of us. So on this special discipleship ceremony day, Haridas and I just are so grateful to be back here with all of you. It's a deep, sincere blessing for us, and a wish that all of us can just go forward and love one another as Divine Mother has loved us. So God bless you, and thank you for everything. And now we will have a short video. Bhaktan created one about Swami.
My father had been sent to Egypt to be in charge of an oil exploration there. And I was packing my mother up to go join him. And the day I put her on the ship, that day, I walked uptown New York and I found Autobiography of a Yogi. I tell you, it was, if my parents had been there, I, who knew absolutely nothing about these teachings, I don't know if I'd have had the strength of will to tell them I'm going out to do this thing, which they would have thought completely crazy. But they were powerless. Mother was on a ship, Dad was over there. We didn't have airplane travel in those days. Well, there was some, but not enough for that. And this was 1948. And I got this book and I read it between tears of joy and tears of love. It was the most moving experience of my life. I really took virtually the next bus across the country. I had never thought that I would ever do this. I was an ordinary, arrogant young man. I never dreamed that I would say this to him, but I went 4 days and 4 nights across the country by bus. I went to Yogananda. He'd just finished lecturing in Hollywood Church.
Never before had I seen such divine beauty in a human face. What may I do for you? I want to be your disciple.
As people have said, how did you feel then? I tell you, I felt so desperate, I didn't have a time. I didn't have the time to feel my impressions of him. I just wanted so desperately. I said, I can't tell you how much I want to be accepted. I know I just burst into tears, but you must accept me, you must accept me. And he just sort of read my karma. He said, you have good karma. And after half an hour, he accepted me. I have never regretted those words in these 61 years. It was the pivotal point of my life. And when you're on to a good thing, I'd say hang on to it. What convinced me about him was himself. I had never, in the pages of a book, encountered so much greatness, so much humility, so much love, so much compassion, and so much bliss. And I had been willing to give up everything and go and live in a jungle just thinking I might somehow, with time, effort, and luck, find a little peace of mind. And in his book, he talked about the joy of God. In fact, he showed us and taught the nature of God is Satchidananda, ever existing, ever conscious, ever new bliss. When you looked into his eyes, it was like looking into the infinite. He could be so wise and was wise, and yet so naturally wore his wisdom like a comfortable old coat. I've lived my life, really, I have to say, thinking about those years and thinking about what he said, because there was teaching in every gesture, teaching in every expression. And sometimes 20 to 30, 40 years later, I'd remember something, oh, that's what he meant. But I didn't see it right away. He would teach me in many different ways. He had me come out to his desert retreat in 29 Palms. And I worked with him there. It was interesting, I'd been with him. See, I was only 22 when I came to him. And I came in September, on September 12th, in fact. And in October, he was already having me come out there, and he was having me present while he was dictating teachings and so on. He was giving a lesson on Kriya Yoga. And I had never had the initiation, and you can imagine I was really lapping it up. And he said, say, Walter, he called me Walter, say, Walter, you haven't had this initiation. No, sir. I already had heard enough to know what the technique was. And so he said, all right, sit up straight, I'll initiate you right now. And I sat up straight and he gave me the Kriya initiation. But he was giving an initiation at the end of December, 2 months later. And he said, don't practice it until you take it formally in the initiation. But he had said during his dictation that if you do it quickly, you're not really doing Kriya. So I thought, well, I can do it quickly. And so I practiced it quickly. And we had the long all-day meditation before we were to get the initiation. So I said to Master, could I practice Kriya during the meditation? He said, yes, but do it slowly. He knew every single thought I thought. It was absolutely amazing. And so in the presence of a guru, I remember one time, just as a little example, how he was talking to some of the monks about potholes that needed to be filled in the driveway at Mount Washington. And I wasn't involved in that work. So I had my eyes closed. It was hard for me because every time he talked to us as a group, he would always look at me, and I said, I wish he wouldn't look at me. I just want to meditate and feel his presence. But he always did. But this time he didn't, and I was closing my eyes, and I can't tell you the waves of bliss that just came over me. Bliss and love were such a power in his presence that sometimes you'd find yourself just weeping. One time when he was editing, I helped him in my small way. I mean, 23, what can you do as an editor? But still, he asked me to, and I know that it was because he saw this in my past, and it was a job I had to do. And so I was helping him with editing the Bhagavad Gita. And he was working on the manuscript, and I was sitting at his feet, not doing anything, but just thinking, what a blessing it is to be in his presence. And he didn't say anything, he just kept working. And when it was finished, he asked me to help him to his feet. And then he stood just a moment, looking into my eyes. He said, just a bulge of the ocean. He never saw himself as something to be looked at. He was just a bulge, a little wave on the ocean of God. He always turned our attention back to God. I can't tell you how heartwarming it is to see so many angels. Not many people at my time of life can look back and say, with so much profound gratitude, thank you. I thank all of you, and I thank Master for what he has given to you through me. And I have no regrets at all. I feel that everything has been a step upward, and everything has been cause for great celebration. And I thank you all for coming here and celebrating this anniversary with me. If I finish by saying that anything that is good in me, I have to attribute to him. If not in this life, in other lives. Because it's only through that example of purity, kindness, respect, egolessness, and desire to help other people. All these come through the grace of God, through the Guru. God's grace is there, but it's very few who actually receive it. They have to open themselves to him. And you can't open yourselves to him until you can get rid of that ego. It's his love that helps to open that ego and to see that I'm nothing, he's everything. When you've reached that point, then you know that he's ready to give you himself. And that's what he's come to do, is to give us himself that we may know God. And I've seen this light growing in so many of you, and it's an absolute blissful blessing to me to see that change in you. Master is alive, and he is working in this world. And this ray that he has brought to this planet is something that will be a transforming power in the world. Take it seriously. Know that God is in you, and he empowers you and wants to empower you. You are who must shine with that same light. And the more you do so, the more you will find in yourself the channel is blessed by that which flows through it, Master said. And you will find that blessing just increasing in life until everything you see is beautiful.
Thank you, Bhaktan. Now we're going to have a flower offering, so come up when you feel to, and we'll be listening to some of Swami's music during the blessing. So there's some rose petals and leaves together. Krishna gave Arjuna, said that even the leaf given in devotion will please me. So take some leaves and rose petals and offer yourselves at the altar of love.
Love is all I know, sun rays on the snow of a winter long, in darkness without song. Oh, my heart's a fire, burning all desire. Only you remain, and life again.
Love is all I know, sun rays on the snow of a winter long, in darkness without song. Oh, my heart's a fire, burning all desire. Only you remain, and life again. Too long I did stray, flung lifetimes away, imagined you did not care. I know now your smile was mine all the while. I listened and love was there. I can't breathe for love, all the stars above call to me, come home. Life's waves all end in foam. Only love can heal all the pain I feel. What a fool was I to turn away. Love is all I know, sun rays on the snow of a winter long, in darkness without song. Oh, my heart's a fire, burning all desire. Only you remain, and life again. Love is all I know, sun rays on the snow of a winter long, in darkness without song. Oh, my heart's a fire, burning all desire. Only you remain, and life again. Too long I did stray, flung lifetimes away, imagined you did not care. I know now your smile was mine all the while. I listened and love was there. I can't breathe for love, all the stars above call to me, come home. Life's waves all end in foam. Only love can heal all the pain I feel. What a fool was I to turn away.
And now let's send this love out to touch souls in need all over the world. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all Thy children. Manifest Thy healing presence in souls in need everywhere. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Amen. So, good night, everyone. God bless you.